Cafe. I'm your host, Katelyn Grisillo, and joining me today is head baseball coach Kenny Thomas. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you.
So last week you went 3-1 overall. Let's start by talking about the Payne game last Wednesday. You won 14-0, but only played 7 innings. What was the reasoning behind that?
Well, we made a decision the day before that we were going to play the 10-run, they call it the mercy rule. In the NCAA, we can, if both teams agree, you can play a 10-run rule after 7 innings. Now, in my 17 years here, I've never played a mercy rule because I don't think it's right to the players. I think that there's a lot of guys over there in the dugout that practice hard every day. They go to weight room and lift 3 days a week. They go to study hall. They go to class, and they don't get to play a lot. So I don't think it's fair to take a couple of innings away just because the score's gotten out of hand.
Right.
So I've never done it before, but Payne requested it, and I agreed to it, that we would play the 10-run after 7 rules. So we did, and we ended up getting up 14-0, so that was it.
You can't help talent. So in the win over the Lions, your team set a Peach Belt Conference record with 4 home runs in an inning. How impressive was that third inning for you and your team?
Well, it was huge. It kind of set the tone for the game, and, it was that's very unique. You're not going to do that very often, although you hope to, but
Right.
you're not going to do it very often. But that was very unique, and, it kind of set the tone, and from there you just kind of had the momentum and just moved on. So it was huge, for
Right.
sure.
Also against Penn, you played 5 pitchers: Connor Riley, Trevor Hutto, Bryce Buster, Blake Cantrell, and Hunter Hubbard. What did you see from them that you liked?
Well, I thought all of them pitched well. We decided that before the game. Connor Riley was going to start, and we designated he was only going to throw 2 innings, and then Trevor Hutto was going to throw 2 innings, and we were going to go 1-1-1 from there on. Of course, we only got to play 7 innings, so we only used 3 guys. So, but I thought all of them pitched extremely well. I thought Connor really started the game out well, and Trevor Hutto, they all pitched well. And, when you shut somebody out, I guess you pitch pretty
Right.
good,
That was all right. So you managed to win 2 of 3 against Montevallo in the series over the weekend. After the Falcons tied it with 2 runs in the 8th inning, what were you thinking about going into the 9th?
Well, those were tough games, no doubt. The last game, we finally got a little breathing room. But they were tough games, and, we've been a team that has all year so far, we've never quit. We keep playing hard, and no matter what the score is, and we talk about that all the time with our players. It doesn't matter if you're 10 runs up, 10 runs down, you play the same all the time. So we've been, we've had both ends of that spectrum so much. We've had games like Payne where we won big, and we've had a lot of one-run games. And so we've had both ends a lot. And so we're kind of used to that, I guess. And, so when things happen, we don't panic. We just say, hey, we still got a couple more at-bats, and we'll be fine. So, obviously for a coach, you like to get up 4 or 5 runs and get a little breathing room. But we've had a bunch of them one-run games.
Right.
So
Exciting.
that was another one this weekend.
Well, one-run games seem a little more appealing when you have someone like Max Schoen on your team. With 2 on and 1 out and Max at the plate, did you think you would finish that game right then?
Well, I hope so. You never know. We've had a lot of heroes throughout the year, different ones per game, and but I did feel good when Max came up, and when we got that couple of guys on, and we're tie ball game. We don't need a 1 run to win. You felt pretty good, and then they shifted on him. They moved around to left field a little bit and left the 4-hole we call the second base wide open, and he hit it right through there.
So now Max is leading the league and is among the nation's best in batting average. Would you have pitched to him in that situation?
Well, you'd had to because we didn't have a man on third, and you definitely, with 1 out, you didn't want to put the the winning run at third.
Right.
We had first and second. Now, if it had been just second base, I'm sure they would not have pitched to him. But once you get first and second, you certainly don't want to put the winning run at third because then a sacrifice fly wins the game.
Right.
So I knew they had to pitch to him there.
You lost the second game to Montevallo 11-9. Your team was up 9-7 going into what turned out to be a wild 9th inning. Can you take us through that last inning and what happened?
Wildest inning I believe I've ever seen in 29 years of coaching. I don't believe I've ever seen. I don't believe I've ever seen a team score 4 runs in an inning and never touch a ball. But that's what happened. And, we struck the first guy out of the inning. Then we walked a guy, and we hit a guy, and we hit another guy, and had bases loaded. And then the rain started. And it was raining extremely hard. The umpires were trying to get the game over because it was ninth inning, and it was pouring down. And we just couldn't throw it over the plate. And they couldn't hit it either if we did, so because they were slipping in the batter's box. So, excuse me, but I've never seen that before. We struck 3 guys out, leadoff guy, the last guy, and a middle of the inning guy, and they didn't even foul a pitch off. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. They scored 4 runs. So, yeah, I was a little irritated that we were pitching in that kind of weather. But I know we started some of our own problems before it started raining. But once it started raining, it was impossible to pitch. And then, of course, we come up in the bottom of the ninth, 2 runs down now, and lightning hits within 8 miles, and so they stopped the game. And we waited an hour, and then, of course, we had to fix the mound and home plate then. So it was like a regular game at that point, but we were 2 runs down. So it was a bad situation. One I wish I could go back and do some different things. When I stop and think about some things maybe I could have done to prevent that. But in the heat of the moment, I was so upset that we were continuing to play in that weather that my thinking wasn't straight. And, we just couldn't get a grip of the ball, and we couldn't stand up on the mound. It was just slop, mud. But no excuse. Still got to throw it over the plate because they probably couldn't hit it either. It was raining so hard. So all we had to do is throw it over the plate, and we'd have probably won the game.
Well, you got the third one, so.
Got the third one.
Despite the tough loss in the second game, Chaz Powell had an exceptional performance on 4 hits and 5 RBIs. How big has he been for your team the last 2 seasons?
I've always said Chaz is one of the purest hitters I've ever seen. And, he struggled a little lately, but that was really good to see him. He hit a home run that game too, and he really swung the bat well. He's really started swinging the bat better the last week or so. So it was a big game for him, and it's just a shame that it happened like it did at the end. And, as coaches, we don't want to lose any.
Right.
We want to win them all. And, I just wish I could have went back and done a few different things. But Chaz had a great game, and, he's a hard worker. He struggled a little bit lately with shin splints, and that's bothered him a little bit running. But he's a tough cookie, so, he plays hard every day.
That's all you can ask for as a coach. So your team made sure not to get behind, as you mentioned, in the final game of the series, jumping out to a 4-0 lead. How big was getting on the board early for your team?
Well, it was huge. Mitchell Price hit a 3-run homer
wow.
to jump us up 4-0 and give us some breathing room. Let's be honest, I was a little worried about us. The way we lost, they sit there and scored 4 runs, didn't touch a ball. Then we have an hour rain delay or lightning delay. Then we lose it we finished the game in about 4 minutes when we started back. And then we had a 30-minute break before we start the next game. And I was a little concerned, because that was a tough way to lose a game. But, man, our guys battled back. And then to jump out 4-0 really gave us some breathing room. And Mitchell Price hit that 3-run homer. Was big, really big.
Definitely responded well.
Really did.
Now Goings turned in arguably his best performance of his career against the Falcons. He went 2 for 3 with 4 RBIs, including a 2-run homer. Is this what we can expect from Mal?
Well, we certainly hope so. Now is, I tell him all the time, we're taking baby steps. And, that home run he hit was unbelievable. And you can still go out there to the stadium and see the light that it hit on top of the light pole in left field. And it actually knocked the fixture straight down. It hit it so hard. And, if it hadn't hit the light, it'd probably been down there on Trolley Line Road or something. But he really hit that ball well. And, Niles got so much potential. And we keep talking about you got to get that P word off your name, and he's a guy that has a lot of power. He's a good defensive outfielder, and he's come along slow. He's fought some injuries for 2 years here, and that threw him a little behind. But man, that was huge. That home run he hit was big for him, really was.
This may be a tough question, but which player impressed you the most during the last week?
Well, there was a lot of guys that played well. They really were. I thought there was some big hits throughout, the series. I thought Ty Emmerman played really good defense for us in the last week at shortstop, and that was really big for us. There you try to go down through there. There's so many guys that had big hits or big plays, and that's kind of what our team has been about. And if you'll remember, way back in February or January, I said that one of the things about this team is very balanced.
Oh, yes, sir.
It doesn't have like 4 or 5 players that are way better than the other 4 or 5. They're very balanced, and it's a different person every day. It really is a different person every day that does something big for us. And so it would be hard for me to pick. Last week, I mean, there was just a lot of great performances, a lot of good pitching performances. It'd be difficult to figure out who it was because there was so many guys that contribute to us.
You're in a good position then as a coach when you have so many great ones, you can't pick one. Now Friday starts a 7-game road trip. You play a series at UNC Pembroke, a midweek game at Newberry, and then next weekend you're at Augusta. What does your team need to do for you to have a successful 7 games away from home?
Well, April's tough for us. It's a tough April. I told the team today, heck, we're 25-6, and that's good. 19 games left in the regular season. They're all tough. I mean, there's some tough games here, and but if we truly buy in to what we've been, our philosophy and what we've talked about all year, and that is getting better every day. If we truly have bought into that, and we have worked hard to get better every day, then really the 19 toughest stretch games being at the end is good. I mean, that's better than having them early, because we if we've bought into getting better every day, so nothing's going to be easy. Going to Pembroke's not easy. Going to Newberry's not easy. Playing Augusta State over at the Green Jackets Park is not easy. Nothing's easy, but championships aren't won easily. You gotta pay some prices, and hopefully we have prepared ourselves going from day one to now, since last September, for this stretch, and it's going to be tough, but it don't get any easier after that either. It gets tougher after that. So we're excited about the opportunity. Going to Pembroke's, I hadn't been there in a couple of years. Some of these guys have never been there, so it'll be a new experience.
And right now, Coach, your team should be sitting at the top of the NCAA region poll if it were to come out now, and is at the top of the NCBWA region rankings. How big is it for your team to be at the top at this point of the season?
Well, it's better than being at the bottom, that's for sure. And it's important, but it's not when it counts. It doesn't count till May,
right,
when that poll comes out. That's when it counts. But we much rather be at the top than we had at the bottom. And it shows we have potential. It shows that we have put ourselves in a position after 31 games that every game matters now. Every game matters, and that's what I told the guys tonight after practice. You just got to realize now that we've put ourselves in a spot that we better come every day. We have a target on our chest. That's okay. We like targets. But more importantly, you better come focused every day and realize that every game is vitally important.
Starting Friday, you have 18 games remaining in the regular season. What would you consider being a successful finish?
Well, 18-0 will be all right in that stretch. It's a one day at a time. I mean, you never know. Peach Belt, the baseball in Peach Belt is unbelievable. I mean, it's crazy, really. I mean, there's people beating each other up all the time. You never know what's going to happen from one weekend to the next. So all you can really do is take care of yourself. You know, I try not to put myself in those situations where I say, well, if we could win so many out of the last 10 or so many out of the last 3, you know, I try to put myself not in those situations. But who knows where it's going to end up? You know, when we get to that 18-game stretch, we better try to win all of them. And but the idea is to take one day at a time. You know, go to Pembroke, play Friday night. Don't worry about Saturday. Then play Saturday, then play Sunday. And then go to Newberry on Wednesday and take care of that game. You know, I don't know what would be great. I mean, you know, people talk about 40 wins, you know, as being this big goal that if you can get to 40 wins, you know, they can't keep you out of the tournaments and stuff like that. I don't know. You know, I really don't know.
We'll go with 18-0.
18-0 would be great. But, you know, look, realistically, we just got to go try to play one at a time.
Just do the best you can. Thank you so much for joining us today, Coach, and wish you the best
you.
of luck coming up.
Thank you.
That wraps up another edition of Coach's Corner, brought to you here live at Fatz Cafe with Coach Thomas. I'm your host, Katelyn Grisillo. Thank you for watching.